Hi guys, I was going to continue my Hinckley series, and in this game I was playing black against Clarke in Hinckley Open, and this is round 5. So Isaac started off with knight f3, which is, I wasn't expecting this move. I thought he would play something like e4. I'm pretty sure I've seen him play this normally, and then I was probably going to play a French against him, I think. And last time I played him in this line, he played the exchange variation, which is like this. So chances tend to be very equal here. It can be hard to win for black because of the symmetrical position, and everything's going to get swapped off on the e file. So EKC started on knight f3, now on d6, and the reason I played d6 is you can play f5 here, trying to go into a Dutch, but then e4 moves can always be a little tricky. Because I play this as white myself, and after takes knight g5, attacking his pawn, and so after knight f6, defending the pawn d3. And if we take, bishop takes d3, and already white's threatening to play knight takes h7 with bishop g6 checkmate. So black has to be extremely careful here. It's not easy to play against this sort of variation. And I still have to think like d5. There's a lot of tactics now after something like knight takes h7, knight takes h7, and even like queen h5 check. And now let's say king d7 is going to be a check on d5. King move has to go back, and there's going to be checkmate on g6. So there's actually really, black doesn't know what he's doing. It's really hard to, you can lose really quickly here. So if you don't want to accept the gambit, e3 is probably a better move. But just to avoid all that together, I just played t6 first move. The reason I didn't play e6 is because against knight f3 systems, I want to play. Because obviously when you play e6, eventually you're going to play f5, d6, and then try to go break with e5 later on. So by playing d6 first, I'm aiming to play f5 next move, and now just e5 in one move rather than going e6 then e5. So I'm saving tempo. So d6, b3, f5, d4. So you're stopping me playing e5. So now e6, bishop b2, knight f6, e3, bishop b7, c4. Castles, bishop d3, and normally in these lines, when white doesn't fianchetto his bishop, black wants to play b6, bishop b7, fianchetto his bishop instead. But it's not good to play b6 and d6 because then these these squares become really weak, and obviously the square as well, because now this pawn won't be protecting this square. After something b6, bishop b7, the knight can always come to g5. And it's going to be really, really weak. So instead I play a5, getting space on the queen side. Knight b2, knight c6, e4, and now knight h5. So here I wasn't quite ready to respond to e5. Well, I could have responded with e5, but I was worried after e5. Obviously he can't take here because I can take back, and then any trying to capture on e5 is going to result in a loss of the bishop. But instead I was more worried about him just capturing on f5, and he's just getting a pawn for free, and it's actually really annoying. He can now put his knight into g5 and then into e6, and now this pawn's also on pre, and so I have to be a little careful here. So instead I just played knight h5. So I don't think it was a bad move coming into f4, where I could attack the bishop and the pawn. So say if he was to take on f5 here, something like knight f4 attacking both these two squares, he might have to play something like bishop f1, and now I can just take on f5 and actually get quite a nice position after bishop f6, and then rook e8, and the king's still stuck in the centre. So my opponent played castles, which is a good move, and now I played f4. Like in the Dutch, when white plays e4, tried to respond to f4 or e5. So I played f4 here, now to e5, d5, and so it's very similar to a line one of the lines in the classical Dutch. Okay, now Isaac decided to play knight g5 here, which is not blunting a piece because he's actually threatening queen takes h5 if I take on g5. There's not many squares for my knight to go. I have to play something like g6, so I just decided that after bishop takes g5 this wasn't too bad for me. Queen takes h5, bishop h6, cd, cd, ed, and now bishop a3. And so yeah, Isaac's playing really aggressively against me now, and this bishop a3 move is actually very annoying. I played knight b4, but if I play something like rook f7 here, then after bishop takes h7 check, white is winning the rook. I can't play king f8 because the bishop's covering the square. So white wins the exchange here, and the only other place to move my rook is say rook to e8. This is also not too great. Rook's not doing much here, and yeah, there's always going to be tactics attacking this rook, and especially when I want to move my queen over to the king side, it seems pointless putting my rook here. I thought knight b4 was a much better move instead. Immediately attacking his bishop, and if he takes, I can play a takes and get really nice a file for my rook. So Isaac did take, I took, and now you see this is going to become a backward pawn for white and a problem in the endgame. And now I've got a really nice file for my rooks to come on later on, and really put pressure on this a2 pawn. So opponent played knight f3, bishop e6, g4. So Isaac's really trying to beat me here. Yeah, we're good friends, so I know him well, and yeah, I was surprised he was playing so aggressively against me. But you know, now g4 is not a bad move, because now after I have to take this, because g5 is a big threat, and yeah, Isaac's a good player. So after g4 he realises I'm probably have to take here, and after h takes g3 he's got space for his queen to escape if it needs to be, but also he's got rid of this f4 pawn, which is sort of cramping his position here. So there's no kingside attack as of yet for me. But one bad thing about this move is now it does mean that my bishop covers the c1 square. So this is always a good file for the rook. This is a semi-open file for one of white's rooks, you know, to try double up on. So play a rook c1, rook c2, and then double up on a c file and attack c7. So my bishop's now become like a really nice piece. So it wasn't too bad for me. And now I try queen e8. So I realise here that I should be doing better in the endgame because of this really weak pawn, and also I have the bishop here. So I decided to force the queen swap here. Isaac can't retreat with his queen because this knight's will be on pre the rook. And you could play something like queen h1 to protect it, but now this looks really passive, and now I can actually start gaining initiative after bishop g4, attacking the knight. It's not many squares for the knight, and then my queen's going to come in somewhere around here, and white could end up in a lot of trouble. So it's better just to take on e8 like Isaac did. Now I take on e8, and he plays a4. So it's not a bad move. It was very surprising for me. It was actually quite annoying because now it forces me to take en passant. What I really wanted to do is say if Isaac just played something like king g2 here, it's like a nothing move, then I can play rook a3 and stop this pawn from ever moving, and now I can just improve my position, just c6, and then swing my rook over and put a lot of pressure on b3, and bishop b1's never going to work in these lines because I always have rook takes b3 tactics. I was wondering, okay, no, this doesn't work, never mind. But yeah, rook a3 would have been really nice, get a really nice position to reach, but yeah, Isaac played a4, this is sort of annoying. I win the pawn, but now this rook's just going to blockade, and it's hard to make a breakthrough here. So he's going to rook a2, I have to go rook a7, rook f81, rook f8e8, 91, g6. So play g6 on Isaac's threatening to come knight c2 and really start attacking this pawn. So I play g6. So after knight c2, I can play bishop f8 and add a little defend to this pawn. So already the game's turned in. All my pieces are having to defend the a3 pawn, which is really annoying. It's tying down all my pieces, and if I could play that rook a3 move, that would give me a lot better position. So I'm wondering whether back here, so playing queen e8 straight away, I should have gone rook a3 first, and now play queen e8 next move. But anyway, back to the game. Bishop f8. Isaac then played f4. So he was going to put his king g2, f3, g4, and start getting attack with his f pawn. And he's going to have some really dangerous pawns. Potentially, he could potentially get two connected pass pawns here. So I played c6, it's consolidating. King f2, b5, b4. So Isaac's stopping me from playing b4 myself. So here's b4, rook a4, rook b1, king f7, king f3. So he's ready to play g4 and f5. I play h5, stop him from doing that. King e3, bishop e7, king d2, bishop f5. And already things are starting to look very drawish. This is my pawn advantage here, but I can't really do much with it because Isaac's got his rook in the way, and there's no way for me to get this rook out the way. If I could have my bishop on e6 and this pawn wasn't here, then I'd potentially to attack on a2, and then the rook would have to move. And that's not the case. So here I tried to play bishop f5, hoping that maybe Isaac would exchange here, and after g takes f5, all of a sudden my position comes alive. So I have a new target, this backwards g3 pawn. And they say if you just play something like rook h1, I could just play rook g8 here, or I could even try h4. Probably rook g8 is probably best, just so I'm not losing a pawn. Takes, and now okay, you can win this pawn, but after king f8, rook moves. Oops, rook check. Now this pawn's going to become really weak, and there's going to be pins across the second against white's rook. So this is looking pretty good for me. But as I didn't play that, I wanted to keep the position closed and try get a draw. So king c3, also a good move. He's protecting this pawn once again. Now after king b3, he wants to try and win my weak a3 pawn, and then I'm no longer a pawn up. So now I play king e6, king back to d2. So you can't play king b3 here because obviously he loses. Bishop takes d3, and if he takes on e5 of check, on f5 of check, now I could play same thing, g takes f5, and now I have chances against this g3 pawn, except this is even better in this line because I go here and take with check, and my king's already protecting the f5 pawn. So Isaac just played king c3. White have accent. Wait, hang on a second. Go back into it. Where'd it go? c3. Yeah, I accidentally overwrite the move. So after bishop takes f5, I accidentally pressed overwrite. So I lost the rest of the game. So sorry about that. King c3, king e6, king back to d2. So Isaac's just making it very hard for me to actually break through. Now I play rook f8, hoping that I'm going to play takes, not king takes h4, and then this pawn f4 is going to be really weak from the rook. So he plays rook takes a3. So of course move my rook this way. So I had to give up that pawn on a3. Knight takes a3, and now h4, and now I actually have a chance to win the game, because the position is always all of a sudden going to break free. This rook can't come over this side because the bishop's going to take on b4 check and actually win the knight. So those rooks tie down to the defence of this square. So Isaac plays knight c2 here. If he plays, he can take on h4, but I'm going to take, rook takes, and now I'm threatening check, trying to win the knight, and this pawn's going, and then now I have a pawn to try promote here. But it's probably the better way to play. After knight c2, this gives me a free pawn on g3, and now this pawn's also going to drop. So I think it was best to take here first and then place my knight c2 afterwards. And bishop takes f5, king takes f5, king to e3, defending the pawn, king to g4, rook to f1, and now a really good move for black here. You can pause the video if you want to try find it. Okay, so the winning move for black here is just bishop g5, and now I'm exploiting this pin on the rook, so white can't take my bishop, and now I'm just winning another key pawn. So after knight e1, bishop takes f4 check, king e2, rook a8, and now I have a really nice open a file for my rook. Knight d3, rook a2 check, king e1, g5, e6. So this is a little scary that he's got a passed pawn and only 2 squares away from promotion. But I played g2, g1, king f3. So now if e7, I've rook e2 check and pick up the pawn. And I'm also threatening checkmate here. So if he actually plays e7, I can just play, let's go for checkmate. So he plays knight takes f4, g takes f4, e7, and now I play rook e2 check, and Isaac resigned here. So after say something like king d1, he's now 3 pawns down, and this pawn white's gonna have to give his rook for this pawn, and then this pawn will promote. So yeah, eventually I managed to convert it into a win. It really wasn't easy for me. I underestimated that a4 move earlier on. See here, a4. Now it really makes it really hard for black to actually break through with this. After rook a2, his pawns. I can't exploit my extra pawn advantage, and I can't really get my bishops around the back. So what I should have done here is just played rook to a3 first, and now queen e8, swap the queens off, and then bring this rook all the way over to the a file, and I've got a much better position. Say after king g2, queen e8, queens come off. Already I'm threatening this rook a8, so he's going to have to get a rook over there. Is probably the best one. Yeah, it's a better one, because say he goes something like rook e1, rook here attacking the pawn, and rook here I can take. There's always these sort of tactics where I take and then the rook on a1's hanging. Same with bishop b1. So I can't quite take it just yet, so I take, rook takes, so it's going to be a check with my rook. So I have to first play something like g6, and now I'm threatening to take on b3, and it doesn't like there's anything white can do about it. So you'd have to play something like rook b1 here, and now after rook a8, rook b2. So now both these pawns are protected, and now both these rooks are really tied down, so I can just expand probably b6, although b6, c5, this could be a problem because white can always put his bishop on b5, and I say c5, he can go maybe play something like bishop a4. Well, he'd probably take the pawn off first, just so there's no b5 ideas. Now bishop a4 could be annoying, trying to trap my rook in and take some pressure off a2. But I guess play d4 here, threatening bishop d5, swing the rook across, win this knight. So something like rook c2, attacking my pawn, and now I could just play solid here with rook a5, and he can never bring his double up on his file because I have bishop covering the square. And a useful move here would just be g6, and I can always drop my bishop back to f8. So this would be a much better way to play anyway, just playing rook a3 first instead of just queen e8 immediately. Yeah, after say a4 move, it probably should have been a draw here. Things just get really just a lot of repeating of moves. King goes back to c3, king d2, and yeah, it's hard to find a way through for black. So that was my round 5 game from Hinckley. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.